Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, you bet. So surely, as part of my investigation, I've the frustration of not actually being able to be clearly communicated to about what an enterprise class artificial intelligence solution looks like is really what prompted a lot of further research, trying to figure out how best to advise my customers on next steps. So today's discussion is really part of that ongoing investigation. My opportunity, and certainly my privilege to be able to show you some of the things that I have learned over the course of the last several months, as AI has started to move from a concept and certainly an area of fascination into an enterprise class solution that our customers can deploy. So as we go through the course of this presentation, if you have questions, please feel free to write those in the chat. One of the things that I'll highlight here at the beginning is the goal of today is really simply this: to give us a better understanding of several of the elements that constitute an AI solution, and then next do what has been not very clearly articulated to date, which is, how do I actually buy AI? What are the components or the elements that constitute an AI solution, and how can I take a next step? So one of the things I wanted to surely start out with is, let's establish some definitions. And my apologies to those of you on the phone who are extremely technical, those of you who are, in fact, application developers, etc., because these will be terms or definitions that will be very familiar to you. But for a lot of people in the industry, myself included, the elements of an AI solution have come with it a number of new terms. And so what I wanted to make sure to highlight today are some of the things that we'll hear about and certainly talk about today as we move forward in building, if you will, this AI solution together. Generative AI is a term that's relatively new in the dialogue of IT, and this is probably best constituted in the context of ChatGPT. This idea of being able to generate new text or images, new sounds, etc., based upon some massive set of data. And so what I do as a company is I feed an engine, a data set. That engine then analyzes that data set in order to be able to learn patterns and create structure, against which I can then, using a natural language model, be able to ask natural language questions of that data set. The goal, of course, is to create a dialogue between a machine trained entity and an end user. And by virtue of the machine learning that's been applied to that data set, be able to capture and understand these trends or these patterns, and be able to describe those to an end user based upon a question that they might highlight. There are a couple of characteristics that are really key here, and I've highlighted them just under the Everest picture. Number one, we're talking about massive data sets. And so one of the things that was clear to me is that any AI solution that we build has to be scalable, has to be performative, and has to be able to leverage a massive data set that I, as a company, would have internally. Ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to take a product like ChatGPT and try to figure out how to shoehorn it into my existing IT. We're instead trying to build an artificial intelligence solution that's tailor-made to my environment, that's going to give me new opportunities, new revenue streams, new ways of interfacing with my current customers, and truthfully, in hopes of finding new customers through new services that I'll develop. All of this, though, requires intensive compute. So one of the things that I've got to also be able to do is leverage my data and leverage this intense computing environment to build these patterns, to build this structure against which I can create this, what's called a foundation model. A foundation model is very simply this idea of taking this massive data set and understanding these patterns, and then providing that with a user interface as a means of being able to leverage that data to create something that's unique. A company's ability to be able to leverage their own data is in truth their competitive advantage. My opportunity to take the knowledge that I have acquired over the years and in sometimes decades of customer interactions, data that I've acquired through product development, et cetera, and apply that to scenarios that give me the ability to accelerate. And accelerate can be answered in a number of different ways. Accelerate my ability to find new customers, accelerate my ability to develop new products, accelerate my ability to code applications using tools that I've taken advantage of in the past. Let's talk a little bit more about it as well. I promise that I am not going to force feed a whole bunch of data about how big the AI market is. I was having a conversation earlier today with my VP, and I highlighted as like one of the things that was so obvious in every one of the presentations I've been lately is that they spent the first 15 or 20 minutes talking about how big the AI market was going to be. I got it. You had me at hello. The opportunity though is really trying to find how do I take this technology and do something with it that I haven't been able to fully capture in the past. And these are some of the best examples that are really starting to materialize around artificial intelligence. Number one, automation. If I can find a way to take a task, a rudimentary task, turn it over to a machine, and then allow that machine to use data in the background to create automated tasks, leveraging that data and machine learning, that would be fantastic, because then I can take humans who were previously doing those tasks and allow them to do other things. Greater performance means I now have the ability to develop products faster, to interface with my customers faster, to be able to do things at scale that have been limiting for me in the past. This can be coupled with modernization, specifically in the context of application modernization. We talked a few minutes ago about the ability to code. Surely machine learning, and we've talked a little bit about ChatGPT, but there is this idea that machines can code much faster than humans can. Probably not disputed. However, there are certain places where humans and machines will interface in order to be able to fully develop certain products. By combining those two elements together, data that we have, capabilities of the machine environment, as well as individuals who are developing products with strategy and vision, we now have the ability to extend the life of existing applications and in truth even develop new applications to help us drive our business. And that's really one of the third goals, is productivity. This notion of allowing humans to do what humans do best and turning over certain tasks to an AI environment to allow it to leverage the speed of processing performance to be able to drive new business and new revenue into the future. So clearly there's an opportunity. Now we really just have to figure out where do we apply the understanding that we have, and how do we build solutions that give us the ability to unlock this potential. So that's really it. How do I buy it? What do I do? Tell me, Donn, where do I go to get some of this AI stuff? Because I got a lot of people behind me in my company who are asking questions, and I don't have all the answers except for ChatGPT. Well, you're in luck. Today, we're going to discuss how to buy it. We're going to talk about how to deploy it. And then we're also going to talk about how to manage it. And each one of these elements will give you a structure, a vision of where we can go today and how you can take some real formative next steps on your journey into artificial intelligence. So with that, let's talk about the what do you buy. One of the most phenomenal platforms that's available right now in the market is watsonx. watsonx, of course, is built on the genesis of IBM's Watson. IBM's been in the business of artificial intelligence for a long time, but this idea of generative AI, developing information new information on the fly is relatively new. IBM's application of what it's learned in the artificial intelligence area around Watson applied to these new generative AI models gives us Watson X. The great news is that it's more than just this fancy brand name. In truth, there are a number of products that can be purchased and deployed today to help you build out an AI model. Let's talk about a couple of them right now. First and foremost is Watson X AI. This is the centerpiece of that AI solution. This is the environment that has the ability, gives you the ability to build your foundation model, leveraging your data, using the Watson X engine as that interface. This plugs into Watson X Data. Watson X Data is as a component of one of the storage products that we'll talk about in a little while. But this is really your data lake that gives you the opportunity to manage your data, apply and build your foundation models through machine learning that's embedded within Watson X AI, so that you can now start to create this new AI environment for you to leverage. The beauty of Watson X Data is it's not just its scalability and performance, but the fact that it has accelerators built into it that give you the ability to take advantage of your investment as you scale out and grow this portion of your business into the future. But what is business growth if we can't do so in a way in which we have control? And for that, we have Watson X Governance. Watson X Governance is that component that ensures responsibility and transparency of what's going on in our environment, so that we can maintain control. What I really like is this element of monitoring. I can see the AI activities within my organization and ensure that the things that we are doing are achieving the goals that we have set for ourselves, but also avoiding many of the pitfalls of artificial intelligence that we've seen in the past, specifically bias that might be inadvertently a component of the data sets that we might have, and how do we minimize that? By ensuring that we're applying these layers of responsibility and transparency, we're maintaining the overall integrity of the AI environment that we're creating, and ensuring that as we go forward and building out these solutions, that we're doing so as quickly as possible in a way that helps us to maintain that control. Continuing. In addition to those three foundational elements, there are a number of other, I would call them plugins, that help us to really do other things that might be unique to a specific role or a specific opportunity within my environment. These are Assistant, Orchestrate, and Code Assistant. Assistant is just that. I can create now a virtual agent, if you will. I can turn it loose in a let's say a customer service environment, for example, and I can now create a customer service agent that I can use to interface with my customers. Makes it really easy to set up, and because I'm leveraging my own data, I can plug it into my customer database and have real-time exchanges with customers and the information that I might have on the business that we've been doing together, or the business that we want to do together. The next component of that is Orchestrate. Orchestrate is sort of a back office type of a plugin for a Watson environment that gives me the ability to be able to, for example, better manage my employees. I can create job descriptions. I can interface these with my SAP environment or with my Salesforce environment, and now have a chance to allow AI to write job descriptions, post those out onto the web, receive resumes and applications for these specific positions, analyze these applications, make recommendations for changes, or even make recommendations for candidates, all while I have my humans doing other things that are more subjective. Through Orchestrate, we can leverage the environment that we have, the data we want to accumulate, and be able to make suggestions on things that we can do. And then lastly, of course, is Code Assistant. Code Assistant is the element of being able to code faster. Through the CI/CD process, I can now create a cycle of developing new code, checking that code, and indeed, as you can see here, help my developers to be able to onboard faster by better understanding the environment in which they're going to be coding. Think of Code Assistant as an accelerator for new developers, or even for your existing development environment into new projects. Code Assistant is probably one of the areas in which I would think that IT would be most interested in, especially if it's a company that has developed their own applications. So now, as we look forward to understanding that from a contextual perspective, what software products constitute AI, there are a number of other things that we need to consider. We want to start looking at specific use cases. The great news is that as nobody wants to be first, the great news is that none of you will be first. All of these are bona fide reference customers of IBM who have all deployed Watson X in one or more of the products that we had previously mentioned. If you'll go to ibm.com/WatsonX, you can read about all of the different companies and some of their use cases, but I would say that these use cases run the gamut of these verticals. Lots of banks, manufacturing organizations, a number of healthcare organizations, and retail. As you can see, there's quite a few sports teams on here. There's human resources applications similar to the Orchestrate plugin that we talked about before. Content creation is huge, and of course, customer service is going to be a fantastic application of AI. These companies are again on the forefront of developing this technology and really driving their own business and leveraging these AI tools. And I would say that their ability to be able to partner with IBM and leverage Watson X is one of the things that's giving them a chance to do that. In addition to those companies, I want to highlight something that's like super recent. Last month, October, IBM had its Tech Exchange TechU event in Paris. While they were there, they actually released this concierge product for the benefit of all of their attendees. This product was developed using the Watson X AI SDK, and in this, users had the ability to basically follow this exact format. They could ask a very simple question into the Q&A panel. This Q&A would then look up the information against a knowledge base of information that IBM had built and accumulated for the purpose of building this foundation model. It would then return answers to simple questions based upon the inquiry. In addition to this simple process that IBM highlighted, they also use this as an opportunity to highlight their recently announced collaboration with Hugging Face. Hugging Face, of course, as many of you will know, is an incredibly large infrastructure environment that gives people the ability to leverage other data sets to help build out models, and as well to build and train their own models as they look to perfect those in an environment where they have access to data. An incredible environment. Watson X actually leverages now Hugging Face as a component of its rollout, and as you move forward as to investigate Watson X and indeed leverage Watson X for the purposes of building out your own AI environment, Hugging Face will become a component of that. What I would highlight here is something that's pretty unique to this environment, and something that's incredibly recent in the development of new AI tools. And certainly, I would say one of the indicators that puts Watson X on the forefront of AI development is this knowledge base. The capability is called retrieval augmented generation. It's something that's incredibly important to the development and the progression of AI as a solution. The reason that this is important is because for those of you who are familiar with ChatGPT, you'll remember that one of the very first things that people were always told about ChatGPT is that ChatGPT didn't have context for recent events. So you couldn't ask it about certain things that might have happened last week or last month, because up until version 4 of ChatGPT, I believe that ChatGPT didn't have any knowledge of anything that had occurred prior to 2019. So while you could ask general questions, you couldn't ask very specific questions about recent events. Retrieval augmented generation is a component of an AI solution that gives it the ability to actually leverage a knowledge base of recent events. Think about it in the context of what you might want to do with it in terms of like new products, new pricing, new developments within your own company that you would want to make users aware of. For the purposes of the concierge product, IBM was using a knowledge base of recent changes to a menu, for example, to be able to make those users aware or capable of asking questions of things that happened very recently. This gives you the ability to not have to continue to retrain your model every time new information comes out, but instead gives you the ability to make current information always available to your users. And that's the one thing that we want to always ensure that we're doing, because if we can't ensure accuracy or make information available that's the most up to date, it'll only reflect poorly on the product and ultimately on the company. So retrieval augmented generation, which was a part of this concierge, has only recently been announced as part of the watsonx portfolio. And I would say is indeed a wild card, giving us the opportunity to do things in real time that we haven't been able to do in AI before. But one of the things that no one really knew about until after the conference was how this technology was being delivered. And it was being delivered on IBM Power 10. IBM Power 10 is the industry's #1 platform for AI. We're going to take a couple of minutes and talk about the things that Power 10 can do relative to helping us to understand. Before we get there, let's just look at real quick at some of the demands that we're going to face in IT as we're looking to roll out these AI solutions. Number one, we've already talked about massive data sets and intense compute environments. So performance is going to be mission critical. Our competitive advantage is going to be directly tied to our ability to be able to perform. And so we have to have high performance storage and high performance compute environments in order to be able to satisfy the number of users that may be coming to the environment, and the ability to be able to build, update, maintain, and then deliver against that foundation model that we create relative to our data. Data is going to be critical, but as I've often said, even we haven't figured out how to violate the laws of physics yet. So proximity is important. Many of us are still continuing to maintain our data on premises because, well, it's the lifeblood of our business. We want to protect it and ensure that it's secure. There's been a lot of movement of compute into the public cloud, but not so much of data into the public cloud. I would say the data is probably one of the, and as well as the cost of egress, are probably the two of the most important reasons that so many companies are looking at going back into either their own data center, into a colo, or creating a hybrid cloud environment. The proximity of your data to your compute will give you the ability to drive higher performance. And as I said here on this slide, if you haven't moved your data to the public cloud, now's not the time to do so. And of course, security is going to be tantamount to making sure that we're not inadvertently making our data open and accessible outside of our present environment. And we'll want to talk about some of the things that we can do that is unique to the Power 10 platform relative to security, and why that's important and a great benefit as we look to build out these mission critical AI environments moving forward. Now, Power 10. Power 10, of course, is IBM's power architecture built around a RISC architecture, which is different than a CISC x86. Power has been around for a number of years. In its 10th iteration, it is by far the highest performing system that you will find in the market today around scalable systems, which is why you see it deployed primarily for the most mission-critical enterprise applications that a company would run. Indeed, in my interactions with customers, what I have found is that while certain workloads have moved into the public cloud because they're easy to move and migrate, the last workloads to always move are the ones that actually drive the business, and those are the applications that can be found in IBM Power. But what IBM is doing inside of their microprocessor is what's unique to AI, and what makes Power 10 the best architecture for AI in the industry, bar none. Number one, IBM has built AI accelerators into the actual microprocessor, which gives us the ability to do things like inferencing inside of the processor that you just can't do in other systems. This is accomplished by through number one, this matrix math accelerator. This component of the processor gives us the ability to actually speed inferencing, and we're going to talk about inferencing here in a few minutes. Speed inferencing to accelerate AI calculations inside of a given environment. Not only does the MMA accelerate AI workloads, but it also has massive security benefits. Inside of every microprocessor, every Power 10, MMA enables a number of things. Number one, it gives us encryption at the processor level through transparent memory encryption. This has no performance penalty whatsoever, but ensures that all communications inside of the system are encrypted out of the box. What's even more impressive is that the MMA enables a quantum-safe cryptography, which is unique in the industry. Everybody knows about the advent of quantum computing and how that's going to change, certainly have massive security ramifications. IBM is very much on the leading edge of quantum protection and in building systems that are quantum safe. So many articles I'm reading now about entities that are collecting data for the purposes of being able to warehouse it for when quantum computing becomes more readily available, so that they can take quantum systems and apply those against the encryption keys that protect that data and unlock that data years down the road. Well, the good news is that a system like an IBM Power 10 server, for example, already has quantum protection built into it to ensure that through that encryption and cryptography, those systems are already protected out of the gate. And then one of the things that I've been most impressed with is that these systems have never been hacked. Power VM, AIX, IBMI are some of the most amazing secure systems on the planet. I happen to be attending one of the events in Las Vegas. It was an IBM event, and showed up to the MGM to check in when the hack of the MGM casino had been announced. So I got to see that firsthand, exactly what can go wrong when you're running systems that are more easily hacked than others. What was amazing is that the only systems in the entire MGM environment that were not hacked were the IBMI servers. But it's just not about the servers. To build out the best AI solution, you got to have fast storage. And for that, we looked at one solution, and that's Storage Fusion. We call it turnkey Kubernetes. I had a gentleman who I was working with who gave me a quote one time. It's the most amazing thing. I've never forgotten it. He said, Red Hat OpenShift makes Kubernetes easy. Fusion makes OpenShift easy. This is the industry's best platform for running OpenShift, but it does so much more than that. Leveraging Storage Fusion, we also have now a data lake environment where we can build out for watsonx data. So now we, through this combination of high performance, security, and scalable storage, we have the industry's best environment for building and running our AI environment. Let's keep going. When you look across the portfolio, you've got a number of different avenues. What I would say is these are flexible, but they're also on demand. Capacity on demand is a component, a feature of all of these different systems. And they all run at different capabilities. And this is really just designed to give you a sense of, just like every server portfolio, a sense of being able to start small and scale, or start massive and get bigger. From the 1080, which is incredibly high performance and high scalability, down to the more basic 1014, which I've had the experience of working with quite a few customers on. This portfolio gives you a great starting point, a great sense of the development that's been done in the background, building out an AI portfolio that you can leverage today and be able to scale it with as your needs change. As we look out into the marketplace, however, there have been a number of different things that have popped up that are really attractive relative to how customers are leveraging Power 10 and AI to be able to change their businesses. Financial institution was able to increase the speed of their AI environment by leveraging the performance of their Power 10 environment. Large retailer was able to actually improve the speed of their forecasting of their environment and be able to improve their overall supply chain. Hospital chain was able to actually increase the speed of their own care by being able to complete reports and have access to pathology on a faster basis versus doing it on a manual basis before. Each one of those is a great example of how the combination of power and AI is helping individual companies to be able to speed up the things that they already do today. And certainly one of the things that we want to do is leverage that platform. And here's where the definition for inferencing comes from. So inferencing is just that ability to be able to run live data through that model. So remember, I'm going to take data, a data environment that I have today, and I'm going to build a foundation model which says within this data environment, there are specific patterns or structure that I can be able to leverage and query against through a natural language model to be able to understand those patterns, to be able to retrieve information that helps me to make decisions faster, or that helps me to be able to deliver information to a customer on a much faster basis. The speed at which that's able to be performed is a component of Power 10, but Power 10 doesn't stop there. Its ability with its AI accelerators gives it the ability to actually inference on a faster basis. That's where you take live data, stream it into your AI environment, and it gives the AI engine the ability to be able to make decisions on a real-time basis. I like the way that this last sentence really describes it. Inference is a test of an AI model to determine how quickly it can take that live data and make real-time decisions. For example, how quickly and accurately between the time that it sees your face, which is this notion of computer vision, what's the time delta between seeing your face, recognizing your face, and then unlocking your smart doorbell for you, so that you can unlock your front door. That ability to be able to run that environment in real time is certainly a critical component of ensuring that I've got the best environment from a customer service perspective. But that's why I want the absolute fastest performing system in the market to be able to do that, because I want to be able to build the best environment for my customers. Let's keep going. When we talk about speed, it really is about Power 10. And I know that there's been a lot of comparisons made between the Power architecture and the x86 architecture in the past. And yes, the x86 architecture is an amazing architecture, and it powers so much of the compute environment today. This is designed to be able to say that x86 is not a fantastic architecture for AI, but more to be able to say you can do more with fewer systems in your environment, leveraging Power 10 than with any other architecture, both from a raw performance perspective in terms of core count, but also in a price performance perspective in terms of total number of systems to do the exact same amount of work. What's phenomenal is, if you will go to that YouTube address, you can watch a recent video detailing exactly this. This was released just this month, where IBM used an older technology, Power 9, to be able to create 4,000 containers and ingest 8,000 video streams into that environment. It only took 28 minutes to ingest 8,000 video streams. That was an improvement from a different Power 9 system that they used, where they were able to do 2,500 containers in 41 minutes. What's amazing is that a comparable x86 server took 6.5 hours, and it only got up to 1,000 containers. So when you're looking at raw performance and building the best AI environment that you want, the numbers speak for themselves. Here's a question that I get a lot of the time though. Don, this is great. Power is amazing. It's absolutely indisputable, but I don't speak power. Help me understand what I need to do in order to be able to leverage this technology to build out this advanced AI environment to improve my business. And therein lies Tectrade. That's our company. The opportunity to partner with Tectrade will give you that ability to be able to create and manage this environment. What we say is, you got no skills? That's no problem. That's where we come in. Tectrade can help you to build out an entire solution and then manage that environment for you. You manage the workflow, you manage the workloads and access to your data. We'll manage the systems and keep them running. And it doesn't matter where they are. They can be in a colo facility, they can be in your on-premises data center, they can be in some public cloud environment, they can even be in our own Tectrade Power Cloud. Wherever it needs to be, we can manage that system remotely. All you need to do is decide, this is what I want to do, and I see a path forward. Help me, Donn, to be able to build out this AI environment for my benefit. Tectrade, as Brett had mentioned a little while ago, is a global company based in Birmingham, UK. Our U.S. division is headquartered here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live. We've been in business now for over 40 years. 2023 was actually the celebration of our 40th anniversary. We've got partnerships across that run the gamut in terms of being able to plug in the right solutions to create the right environment for you. But certainly IBM sits at the centerpiece of our partnership, and gives us the ability to leverage all of their technologies to build the most AI performative systems that are available. When we look at some of the additional services that we can use to fully complement everything that we can do in AI, building hybrid environments and helping you to be able to manage those, helping you on your application modernization journey through all of the different components of the Red Hat suite. And indeed, one of the hallmark solutions of Tectrade is data protection, disaster recovery, and security. Our ability to be able to create a better DR strategy with you that helps to protect all of the assets, all of the data, all the workloads, all the customers that you have that your business has been building over these years. And so what's next? Certainly, hopefully, you've seen now you have a vision for not just that AI, of course, is going to be this next amazing technology and solution area, but now you've got a sense of some substantive next steps that you can take to be able to leverage these technologies and create this AI environment for your benefit. So here's a couple of things that you can take advantage of right now. Number one, send me a message. I can send you a free white paper that highlights some of the cost savings that are available on IBM Power when running Red Hat OpenShift. I can send you a free ebook that talks about generative AI, specifically in the enterprise. And I can even set you up for a free Watson X account. Give you a sense, and you can see the interface, see how the elements plug in together, and start to take a look at the pricing and how you can leverage that technology today. There are lots of other things that you can do as well. Number one, we can create a use case workshop for you. This gives you the chance to start to look at specific use cases based upon the data that you have access to, or new products that you want to create and make available to your customers to be able to take a first step into an AI environment. Indeed, if you're an existing IBM customer, we have a no-charge security assessment that you can leverage today as a great way of being able to test your environment for security and help you to be able to take another step down the road. Lastly, IBM's got a phenomenal research project going on right now for AI on IBM Power that you can participate in. If you'll scan the QR code or go to the URL, then you can enroll in that research program and work more closely with IBM as they develop these products. I just wanted to say thanks. I really do appreciate the time today and look forward to having a chance to work with each one of you. Truly, AI is unlocking lots of new business opportunities. And I just wanted to make sure that today was the day when you start to see just what you need to do to build this AI environment for your benefit, and how Tectrade can help you to do that. So thank you so much, Brett. I'm going to turn it back over to you to see if we have any questions from our audience members during the presentation.
Okay, great, Donn. Thank you so much. And great job. You covered a lot of ground very quickly, and I thought it was very digestible. So nice work. All right, we did get a few questions. And also, if any of you have any additional questions, please type those into the Q&A panel or the chat. And I'll go ahead and ask Donn, and his counterpart, Phil, is also on the line here. So the first question, Donn, that had come in was, do you have a rough budgetary estimate for how much it would cost to get started?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And I didn't put any pricing in the slides. So obviously, it kind of depends on where you are today. Depends on if you'd like to leverage existing systems that you have, or build out a new environment. Based upon initial analyses and working with current customers, I would say, just from a starting perspective, you're looking at probably something in the neighborhood of sub 100K for a performative server that will give you a good runway for performance, a great starting point out of the gate, but something that you won't have to upgrade immediately after you deploy it. In addition, from a managed services perspective, you could then take in, and Tectrade could step in for roughly about somewhere between 5 and 10K a month, to be able to fully manage that system from a remote, from any remote location, on your behalf, so that you don't have to necessarily go and hire skills to be able to do so. So I think that just from that perspective, just on the hardware alone, that gives you a good starting point. From a software perspective, it really depends on the different elements of Watson X, for example, that you'd like to leverage. A lot of the components don't actually have a charge. These are SaaS components that could be plugged into your existing environment. Others would be deployed on your new system that you would be purchasing for your AI environment. And those systems tend to be licensed by the number of users that are accessing the environment. So that kind of varies. But I've seen per user costs that are only somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from $140 a month, anywhere up to $1,000 per month, just depending upon which one of the components that you pick. Great question, though. Thank you.
Okay, great. You had mentioned another IBM product called Storage Fusion, and there were a couple of questions that came in on that. And in fact, we're having a webinar on that topic next month as well.
Yep.
But if I kind of summarize the question around Storage Fusion, there were questions about it being the best way to deploy Kubernetes. Also, is it the best place to run AI? And I know, Phil, you're kind of an expert at that as well. So you may want to take a stab at that, or Donn, up to you guys.
No, please, Phil, take it away.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, I don't know that it's the best place to run Kubernetes. I think it's the most complete solution available today for running Kubernetes in production. And what I mean by that, very briefly, and we'll get in much greater detail on this next month, as was mentioned, but from a very high level, any competent 15-year-old can install a Kubernetes environment, but to develop and create all the operators surrounding it that harden it for production, things like persistent storage and memory, HADR, backup and recovery, security, orchestration, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are probably about 20 operators at minimum in the average production installation that need to be developed to make that an adequately performative and secure environment for production. And candidly, Fusion is the only out-of-the-box implementation of that I've seen. So you've got a choice between developing it on your own over the course of probably a year and a half or 2 years, getting that much farther behind the curve, or buying Fusion and potentially being in production within as little as 45 days. So that's the real value, is the speed of deployment and just how easy and complete it is compared to rolling your own. And then because of that, and because Kubernetes and container environments probably become synonymous with the term cloud over the next couple of years, that will be where we're running all of our workloads. So by default, if I'm building my AI environment in the environment that I'm going to be running for the next decade or two, then I'm probably building it in the right neighborhood to begin with.
Okay, very nice. Well, there was another question in there about IBM Power. I guess the perception was that it was expensive, but I think, Donn, you kind of dispelled that with your answer on the first question. So got that covered. There was one other question. If I'm an existing IBM I customer, can I run AI software on my current IBM I system?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. The answer is yes, but I'd like to qualify it. We're seeing a transition right now occurring from an IBM perspective, primarily because of IBM's availability of a number of different generations of processors. If you have a Power 8 server, then that system is unfortunately going end of support around May of this coming year. And so if you have a Power 8, you're going to want to consider migrating that workload over to a Power 10 system as quickly as you can. So the answer is yes, but I would look at where you're planning to actually deploy that workload moving forward. In addition to the processor consideration, there's also a licensing consideration. IBM's going to be moving towards a subscription model for licensing, which frankly matches up to everything else in their portfolio. But they're going to be doing that for their IBM Power software started in the new year as well. So I would say, let's take a look at what you have, and then let's develop a vision and a strategy for where you want to go. And that will naturally determine, I think, what systems would stay and what systems need to be swapped out as you move from Power 8 or even Power 9 into Power 10.
Okay, very good. We got another question in here. Do we need to have an IBM expert to run and maintain IBM hardware and software? Good question.
Well, Don, if you don't mind, I'll chime in and say that's
Go
where
for it.
Tectrade Managed Services came in. If you don't have one and you're not in the mood to hire one, we can step in and be that for you. That's what managed services companies like Tectrade do, and we'd be happy to do that. There are certainly going to be skills that you're going to want in-house that are individual, so maybe more operating the top level software and whatever custom development you might want to do at that level. But as far as, Watson X, the operating system, the underlying hardware, the infrastructure surrounding that, Tectrade can certainly step in and provide all the skills necessary to do all of that for you.
Okay. And, I've seen that question before, and I think there's some, I guess, I'll call it just noise out there in the marketplace that IBM is more difficult or more complex, or that if you're running AIX or something that you have to have somebody special. And so I think the answer to that is if you're using managed services, clearly not. If you do have somebody in-house that is fairly well versed at VMware and other products, I think you're going to be able to manage things quite nicely, especially in an IBMI environment where it really is kind of an all-in-one. And once you get that up and running, I know people that have walled them in and put the drywall around them and not even realized it, and 14 years later found their IBMI still running. So